Tens of thousands of guys want to write letters to women, and yet a much, much smaller audience of men actually want to get on a plane and go and meet somebody and get a real girl. A lot of guys are going to write tons of letters, and they're going to be comfortable with writing letters. The letter process is great. It gives you a chance to talk to somebody. It makes you feel like you're not alone. And these guys fuel the industry that is correspondence with international women. And guys, honestly, I get it. I really, really do. But our focus here is quite unique. We have the correspondence because our audience and our customers and our clients demand it. It's definitely an important part of the process of meeting somebody. But I'm going to suggest to you that the big mistake a lot of guys make is taking an unrealistic approach about correspondence. Now, I'm going to tell you tonight ways that you can use correspondence very, very effectively. And I'm absolutely sure you're going to like some of this information, and you're probably not going to like some of it. But the stuff that you don't like, I want you to just stop and think about and dwell on, and think about the good intentions and the real advice behind what we're talking about tonight. You ready? Best practices in correspondence. I need like organ music or something dramatic here. We're going to work on that, okay? I don't like Phantom of the Opera stuff. I don't know, just drama. So guys, tonight we're going to discuss when to write letters and why to write letters. Why correspondence is helpful and when to go about it. We're going to talk about how to write letters that get a response. Everybody has their way of writing letters. I talk to a lot of guys who are writing letters. I've seen a lot of letters. I've seen a lot of styles. And I'll tell you what, the right way and the wrong way to go about it. I'll explain the mechanics behind the correspondence process, and you will understand why how to write letters that get a response is a really important topic. We're going to talk about what women expect in correspondence. And I know a lot of you go, what? Women have expectations? They do. The women who come to us have expectations. Nobody ever talks about it, but it has a huge impact on you and how successful you're going to be. So it probably would help you to know what are those expectations so you can meet them, right? Right. We'll talk about it. And I will elaborate on the big problem, the big challenge with correspondence. All right? You guys ready for that? So, as I wrote my outline for what we were going to cover tonight, I thought, this really is the part that's at the root of it all, what women expect in correspondence. So let's begin with that, all right, guys? Women definitely have expectations around correspondence. Look, around the world, in many places, Ukraine, absolutely, China, the Philippines, other places where the women you are writing to, women work, in many cases, long hours, long jobs. In Ukraine, there's no OSHA, there's no Department of Labor. Women work 12, 14-hour days or more, day after day after day. And they have a child usually to raise in many cases, and they come home and they're tired, they've got to make dinner, they've got to do homework, they've got piano lessons, dance lessons, soccer practice, whatever it is, they run their lives for their children just like a lot of single moms do here. Now, they don't have time at night to sit back and read 6 hours worth of correspondence, and rarely, guys, rarely are you ever the only guy writing to a girl on our site. A lot of guys write letters. Now, that may not mean that the girl you're writing to wants to hear from anybody else or likes you less than anybody else, but chances are she's getting letters from a number of guys because lots and lots and lots of guys are writing letters. You need to be a man with a plan. If you want your correspondence to be taken seriously, women come here because they definitely want to find a guy, and they want to see a guy who knows what he's doing. They want to see a guy who is starting a process he intends to finish, and he can speak to that at any time. Here's why I'm writing you. Here are my intentions. If this goes well, here's what I will do, and here's the time I will do it in. And they need to feel that, because most of the guys that are writing to the women, guys, that are out there, most of the guys writing to the women have no plan, have no idea what they're doing. They're dipping their toe in the water. They're trying a little bit here, trying a little bit there, seeing where it goes before they ultimately decide whether or not they're going to go meet somebody. And I'm not judging anybody who's doing that. I'm just telling you the women definitely pick up on that. So here's a guy who has a plan. He's wrapped his mind around it. He can speak to it. He sounds like a man of action. He's kind of demonstrating that. And here's a guy who's writing letters with no particular plan, just writing. I'm telling you, the first guy is the guy who's going to leave the greatest impression and be taken the most seriously. Women also want you to be positive. I read letters all the time where guys are going into great depth about previous relationships and their divorce and their this and their that. And I understand, guys, that sometimes there are negative and emotional things to talk about, but especially in the beginning, it's really important that you show you're a positive guy. you're expecting a woman to write to you and take interest in you. You're expecting a woman to, in the back of her mind, be thinking, wow, what if this goes in a good direction? We actually meet, we actually fall in love, get married, and I come to this guy's country. A woman wants you to be positive, wants you to be calm, wants you to be confident, and you need to be able to speak those things. So every now and then you can talk about a difficult thing. She may ask you, tell me about your last relationship, tell me about this or tell me about that. Or she may talk about something that had a negative impact on her, and you want to address that, but do not spend a ton of time talking about negative things, because those are never really that welcome, to be honest with you guys. When you meet a girl and you develop a relationship, like all relationships, she will want to support you and love you, and at that time she'll be able to listen to those more painful things that you have to talk about. But generally relations work when you're positive, guys. I mean, they do. When you're all negative and all Eeyore, that's just not something a woman is going to look forward to coming home and reading. So keep it positive. Also, keep it simple. Women come to us and all sites like us in a number of ways. A small number of women find us on the internet and put their profile on our site by themselves. A good number of women come to us by way of our offices, like the one we have in Kiev, Ukraine, or San Jose, Costa Rica, or Shenzhen, China. They meet our office staff, they submit a profile, and they come to us that way. And it's usually our staff working, the community to find women who are interested in meeting a life mate, telling them about us, etc. A great number of women come to us by way of independent agencies who work on a local level. They are called affiliate agencies, and they all have their own little niche and their own little group of women who we add to our site. For example, we got about 150 of them in Ukraine. A lot of little local agencies with great women who are part of our database. Whenever you write to a girl on our site, every single time, 100%, when you write to a girl on our site, that letter is going to be received by a translator from somewhere, from one of our offices or from her affiliate agency. Every single time, that translator will translate that letter and deliver it to her and get her response in a timely manner, translate that response and get it back to you. So keep in mind, there is a translator in between the two of you that's going to need to translate your letter. And there's an excellent chance there are lots and lots and lots of letters that translator needs to translate. In addition, levels of English vary, guys. I mean, learning a language to the point where you can be completely conversational takes years. And yet some translators can translate, the written paragraph fairly easily. So you have translators who have years of experience and translators who are relatively new, and any one of them could be translating your letter. And your letter will get translated accurately, but it's much easier and much faster to translate your letter if you just keep it simple. So it's really important. Be a man with a plan, be positive, keep it simple. Try to explain your thoughts simply so your translator can translate them, and your girl will get a letter that she can hear and understand the first time without having to ask the translator to explain every sentence. Very, very important. Guys, I know some of you are going to smirk at this, but it does not impress the women to complain about the cost of it. It really doesn't. Hey, I like writing to you, baby, but I ain't paying $9 a letter or whatever it is. So if we can go off the grid and communicate directly, that'd be great. That is exactly like somebody who's trying to sell a house, meeting a potential buyer, and the buyer says, I don't like paying real estate agent fees, and yet the real estate agent is the reason you found the house to begin with. But the last thing that a woman who worked 14 hours, who's exhausted and tired, who needs to read a few letters and write back and respond, the last thing she really wants to talk about is the cost of a letter. She can't impact that, and she doesn't care. Either pay for it or don't, and that's the decision that everybody makes, right? If you've corresponded for a while, it makes sense for the two of you to talk about communicating directly. But I don't know that cost ever really has to come up in that discussion, right? I mean, I don't know that you ever need to try and impress a woman with the idea of, look, you'll save me a ton of money if we could just communicate directly. I think if you've communicated together for a while, I think it's a natural process that the two of you will eventually exchange personal contact information, but that's probably going to come after the two of you have met each other. It goes without saying, guys, but women want romantic letters. They really do. They want letters that are romantic and gentlemanly. Some guys get a little crazy and write stupid stuff. Some guys write erotic letters from the get-go. Some guys are just, some of the stuff I read is just hysterically bad. But women want romance. They want romantic thoughts, and a lot of you guys are really good at, you know what, I'm sorry you had a tough day at work. Boy, I would love to be home. You come home and I make a beautiful dinner for you and a nice hot bath just waiting for you. Women love to read those things, and a lot of you guys are really good at creating those beautiful romantic pictures in your letters. Do more of that, because the women really like that. And guys, if you're writing those beautiful romantic things in your letters, to be honest with you, for a while, that may be the only romantic reference that women have for a while until the two of you meet and can have romance in person. Visualize that this is a woman who probably worked a long day and she's tired, and she may have one or two letters to respond to. She may have a kid who's pulling at her sleeve, "Mommy, I want your attention," and things to do, pressure that she's under. She's had a hard day. She may be dealing with some burden that she hasn't told you about. Visualize all of that before you write, and just write a cool, calm, lovely, romantic, interesting letter, and certainly talk about her once in a while. It's amazing how many guys write letters and they just go on and on and on and on and on about themselves without ever asking questions of the girl. You should definitely be asking questions of the girl. You should definitely be talking more about her than you are about you. The two of you will meet each other at some point, hopefully, and you'll be able to open up more about you, or she may ask you questions to help guide what parts of your life you want to talk about. But guys, definitely talk about her. Women want to talk about themselves. Women want to be told they're interesting. Women want to share some of their experiences and be told, "Wow, that is so interesting. What a great experience. What a great talent you have." They want positive feedback based on the stuff that they're telling you about them. So ask about them. And basically, I think that's a good summary of what women expect in correspondence, right? Let's talk about when to write and why to write. I realize that a lot of you guys are going to write letters without having an end game in mind. I realize that a lot of you are going to do that. But I really think the most ideal time to write letters is somewhere 90 days, maybe no more than 6 months out from when you plan to travel to meet somebody. Now, why is that? Again, if you're writing and you're thinking in a year or 2 or 3 years, I'll get on a plane and go and meet somebody, where do you think that's going to go, guys? Do you really believe this woman's going to write to you for 2 or 3 or 5 years? And I mean, that's a tall order. It really is. That's rare. That's incredibly rare. So if you start writing to somebody now, but you know you're not getting on a plane in the next year or two, it's not going to last. It's just not. It's going to fall off in 6 or 8 months. That's going to be a real downer. Don't do that to yourself, and don't do that to her. Wait until you can see it coming. Your opportunity to travel, to meet somebody, to create that love experience, and then start writing. And that's probably going to be somewhere between 6 months to 90 days from the start of your travel to meet somebody. And by doing that, guys, you give tremendous credibility to you as a man. Women have an expression in other countries. They will say, and I hear this in Ukraine all the time, "You are a real man." What do they mean by "you are a real man"? You don't just say a bunch of stuff you have no intention of doing. You don't make a lot of promises you have no intention of following up on. You say stuff, your word is golden, you're a man of action, and you're going to do what you say you're going to do. And when you can talk to somebody about specifically, "I'm coming to your country, I'm coming to your city, I'm definitely going to be there in June. I'm going to be there in 3 months. I'm going to be there in 4 months. Here's the date. I bought the tickets. I'll send you a picture of them. I am dead serious. I want to find love. I want to meet somebody. And I would be thrilled if you and I got to know each other and liked each other and were able to meet each other. And that's why I'm writing you." That separates you from all of the guys who are kicking tires and have no idea why they're writing letters or where that's going to go. And believe me, guys, I don't care where she's from, women definitely notice that. Women want a man. And that's the whole reason that they're here. They want a man, not a pen pal. Nobody comes here thinking, "Boy, it would be really nice to have a pen pal." There are pen pal sites out there somewhere, I suppose, for that kind of thing. Women come to us, guys, because they want a life mate. They want a man. And that means you've got to get on the plane to go and meet her, because she's not coming here. It doesn't work that way. You've got to go and meet her. So when you start writing to somebody, you've got to have that plan of action and be able to speak to it. That means so much to these women. Am I ready to fall in love? Am I ready to get married? Am I ready to do something about it? If you are, then do something about it. And then write letters. How to write letters that get a response. It's always nice, right? It's no fun writing letters and then it's nothing but tumbleweeds and crickets. You have no idea if she got your letter or didn't, if she's going to write back or not, if she's interested or not. So let's talk about that. There are specific things that women look for in letters, guys, whether they're from the Philippines, China, Latin America, wherever. Women look for certain things in letters. And again, remember, you've got women, you've got a translator involved. So if you want to get a response to your letter, keep it simple and short. I see so often that guys are trying to write the longest possible letter that they can write and send it to somebody time after time after time. Here's the problem. The translator has to translate it. The translator's under a crunch. I don't know, guys. I mean, if I'm a translator and I get War and Peace every single time, I'm probably going to abbreviate a lot. I'm probably going to summarize a lot because I've got 50 letters that need to be translated by the end of my shift, and this guy's written War and Peace, and I don't know. Keep in mind that, again, a woman who's worked a long day, who's tired, who's probably sitting, somewhere drinking a cup of tea, listening to the letter. I mean, there's only so much somebody can read before they lose interest, right? And I think it's so healthy for you to keep it simple and short. And some of you are going to say, Bud, you're just saying that so we write more letters. No, I'm not. Not at all. I'm giving you good advice, which is don't bore your women to death. Writing a congressional filibuster is not going to impress your girl. Keep it short and simple, but effective, and that will definitely lure her into writing you back. I promise you. Remember to communicate your plan of action. Speak to it as often as you can. Wow, I can't wait to meet you in 8 weeks or 12 weeks or whatever it is. I'm excited. I've been reading about your city and your culture. Here are some things I hope we can do when I come to see you at the end of November, wherever it is. It's just important to be able to communicate your plan of action. Women definitely want to hear that. Guys, here's the thing. In a lot of countries, promises don't come true. Things don't happen. Everything that's happy seems like a fairy tale, and people are let down a lot. So you have to constantly reassure in the beginning, here's why I'm writing you, I'm coming to see you, I'm serious about getting to know you, I'm extremely hopeful you will like me as much as I like you, and if you do, it's going to be love, baby. It's going to be exciting, it's going to be interesting, I promise. And women want to constantly hear your reassurances around that. So continue to communicate your plan of action nearly every time that you write to her. Point out specific, unique things about her. It's really important. Boy, thank you for sending me that picture. I love the way you did your hair. I think it's gorgeous. I love this style as well, but there's something about this particular cut. Do you cut your own hair? Does someone cut it for you? Have you ever tried this style or this color before? I think it complements you really well. I like it a lot. Wow, that dress is such a pretty green and it matches your eyes perfectly. Great choice. I love the color. It looks great on you. Point those things out. Talk about her. And be positive, right? Write letters that are positive, so short and sweet, communicating your plan of action, compliment her, be positive, make it easy on the translator, guys. The translator, you'll never see or never know who your translator is, who's translating your letters. There is always a translator translating your letters, always. So make it easy for the translator to represent you well. Write in a way that moves forward. Write in a way that is hopeful, that talks about the future, that talks about your dreams and your plans and your hopes. Visualize those things. Help her to visualize those things. I heard you saying that you did this. I love to do that. I absolutely love to take a walk around the trees this time of year. I love to go apple picking on the weekends, and I just think about how much fun that would be. Create those pictures for her with your letters, guys, so she can begin to visualize what life with you and love with you and romance with you is like. And that will be so meaningful when you write your letters. Guys, your letters should come in 3 parts. Every single letter, 1 part her, 1 part you, and 1 part what to do. And they should be equal in size. So start out, first paragraph. Hey, how are you? I thought about you. How was your day? I know you said you weren't looking forward to today because you had that major work project. How did it go? I bet you shined. I'm sure you finished on time. I'm sure you met your deadline. I'm really proud of you. I'm really impressed by you. Just start with her. And then you. Today my day was such and such. Here's what I did. It was fun. It was exciting. I began my day with coffee and this and that. Took a walk. Went to work. Got home, made a nice little dinner, thought of you the whole entire time. And then what to do. I'm really looking forward to your next letter. Perhaps we can communicate on the phone sometime. I'm getting ready for your trip. Here's what I'm doing to get ready for it because I'm definitely going to see you in a month. And speak to some action as you finish that letter. And just use that as a formula, guys, and let her respond to it, okay? Some guys get frustrated because they write long, long, long letters and you send it to a girl and she doesn't write you a long, long, long letter back. But that's partially her schedule, her demands, her pressures. It's partially the translator, under a lot of pressure to write a lot of, stuff, translate a lot of letters and get them back to you. And it's just that. It's not easy to translate a long letter and deliver it, get a response to everything that's in the letter when there are multiple letters going back and forth. So 1 part her, 1 part you, 1 part what to do, and keep it simple. And that is the recipe for success in correspondence, guys. What is the big problem with correspondence? There's one big problem with correspondence. And here it comes. Tough love right at you, guys. And that is too many guys settle for a virtual fantasy relationship that is correspondence based. I'm amazed. I really am amazed at how many men tell me every week that I'm in a serious relationship with a girl that I'm writing to. And I'm great, wonderful. When are you going to see her? I don't know. We'll see. But we're in a serious relationship. Again, I've never talked to her on the phone. How does that happen? How does that happen? How do intelligent men get fooled into thinking they're in love when they've never talked to the girl on the phone? Guys, talk to your girl on the phone. You know what's great about correspondence? If you arrange a phone call with your girl, which is easily done, every profile at Loveme.com has boxes to the right. One of those boxes says, call me now. Click it and order a phone translation. And then talk to her on the phone. Can you imagine how great that would be for her after you've been writing to each other to finally talk on the phone? What will happen from that point forward is pure magic, and here's what it is. After you talk to each other on the phone, every time she reads your letter, she's going to hear your voice, which she could not do previously. And every time you read her letter, you're going to hear her voice as well. It's a deep personal experience, but you have to talk to each other to share it, and that's where the magic is. But anyway, I'm not sure how men... Look, we're lonely and we're creatures of comfort, and we get into a mold of routines. We come home every day, we open up, there's her letter, there's her pictures, it's wonderful. We write back, we respond to that. And we silly, lonely guys convince ourselves that we're falling madly in love, and someone is falling madly in love with us, a person that we've never met, have never talked to, and don't know the last name of. And that's just completely silly. So again, guys, the best time for correspondence is when you're getting ready to travel. Speak to your plan of action that separates you from everybody else in her inbox. Continue to communicate around that plan of action. Compliment her, talk about her, ask her questions, give her feedback, make your correspondence about her. You'll learn more about her and she'll understand that you're not self-absorbed. And of course, if she's lonely and she hasn't had a man in her life, nobody's been asking her those questions. Nobody's told her that she's interesting. Nobody's trying to get her thoughts and her emotions. And it will be really, really stimulating and interesting for her to do that. So again, guys, to summarize your best practices, have a plan, speak to it, keep it short and simple. That makes it easy on the translator, easy on the girl, easy to respond to. Use carefully chosen words in proper English composition. Some of you guys are familiar with the app Google Translate. What's interesting about Google Translate is it has a voice function to it. Did you know that? And like many voice translation programs, if you have a smartphone, guys, there are voice translation programs that are great. But what's interesting is if you speak into the voice translation program and then translate it, sometimes the translation isn't accurate. One thing you can do to greatly increase the accuracy is speak into the translation program and then take it from the language you intended to translate it in and translate it back to English. Add punctuation. Translate it back to Spanish or Russian or Chinese or whatever language you were translating. In other words, a message with no punctuation gets messed up in the translation process. A message with accurate punctuation gets translated much, much better than one without it. So take the time to use words carefully, use punctuation. I get some of you silly guys who don't use punctuation because you're trying to save money on spaces, and that's just going to mess you up. Because our computer, which just doesn't understand that, and our software program will probably flag it and delay it for you. So use proper words in English composition. Be gentlemanly when you write your letters. Just resist the urge to write things that are not gentlemanly. I think you know what I'm talking about. You know, be smart about your correspondence, guys, right? Write things that are going to be easy for her to respond to and interesting. And the first thing you should say when you write to a girl for the first time, honestly, if you want to separate yourself from anybody else who might be writing to her, like it or not, guys, the hard truth is the first thing you need to say is, I'm coming to meet you. I'm coming to your city. I'm not kicking tires. I'm not a keyboard Romeo. I'm not just out here writing letters into the oblivion, into the abyss. I want a life partner. I'm serious about falling in love. I need to find that one magic woman, and then I'm going to completely unload all of my love. And my love is full of magic. It's interesting. It's fun. I can't wait to find her. There's a possibility you could be her, and I want to explore that. And that's why I'm writing to you, because I find you so interesting. And I'm coming to your city. And of course, in order to do that, you've got to make a commitment to yourself that you're going to get on the plane and go and meet somebody.